Hey everyone, welcome to Virtual Vegfest Live, and we are sponsored by the Plant-Based Network. And also this month we have a new sponsor, and that is Cinnaholic. Did you get to see the talk I had with Cindy from Cinnaholic yesterday? It's a lot of fun. You should go check it out, especially if you don't know who or what Cinnaholic is. But just a hint, it's vegan cinnamon rolls. And they are now part of our monthly prize packs. It's a contest, so you get to win prizes from these awesome companies. Go to virtualvegfest.com, click on the contest tab, and you can enter to win a prize pack from Cinnaholic, Hodo Foods, Follow Your Heart, or Gain. And what's the other one? Crafters Organics. There we go. And thank you to all of them for donating the prize packs. The newest one that's joining our prize packs actually is shroom meats. And that's going to be an option. I think we're going to add that in for this month even. So that'll be 6 chances to win prize packs on a monthly basis from these awesome companies. And you can do something like, through the contest, subscribe to Virtual Vegfest on YouTube, liking our social media. These are the options that you have to get entered to win and get more entries. Like this month, 25 entries for subscribing to Virtual Vegfest on YouTube. That's our hint to you that that's what we really want you to do. So go get those 25 entries and let's talk about what's happening today. So Randi's here from the Bohemian Vegan Kitchen, and we're going to talk about food, and we're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about raising families. We're going to talk about raising vegan families. We're going to talk about just about anything, because that's what happens when we're alive. And is there anything else I need to tell you? I don't think so. Any questions or comments, you need to put them in the box, and we will address them as we go along. Hey, Randi.
Hi. How's it going?
It's good. Normally that's what I start with. I'm like, hey, how are you? It's like,
I beat you too.
I know. So like we can just like continue the conversation because I was really enjoying it. The only thing is we had to turn this on. So I'm going to throw it at you for you to share. There are so many hearts. There are 43 hearts already.
Wow,
Who is out there pressing the heart button? I want to know who you are. Put in the comments because you love Randi. Because it's not for me.
Yeah,
this is all for you.
I'm a lovable person. I hope so.
Oh, definitely. There's more coming. So seriously, whoever's out there, please let us know where you are or where you live. That would be great too, because it always stems to tell us, we always talk about food probably in those places, and this is a foodie talk. So Randi, share about you and Bohemian Vegan Kitchen and whatever else you want.
Okay, well, as hopefully everybody knows that's here already, my name is Randi, and I blog over at bohemianvegankitchen.com, and I just share easy plant-based recipes, mainly comfort food and healthy food, and I'm just really excited to join this conversation and talk about my book and my new cooking class, and I'm glad I'm here. Oh, hey, I see Brandy.
Yes, Brandy is someone that follows Kathy Hester, and now I know she follows you too.
Yeah.
So, hey, Brandy, welcome. Every time I watch Kathy Hester's lives, Brandy's there. So it's really cool to know that whenever awesome. That you too. So we actually can start off with a question. We could just jump right in, because Stephen Himowitz says, what are your positions on vegan junk food?
Okay, awesome. Well, I eat vegan junk food sometimes. I'm not really a stickler, and I'm not really against vegan junk food. I think it definitely has its place. I try to primarily eat a healthy vegan diet. I cook most of my foods at home in my own kitchen, and I like to focus on, whole foods, plant-based, that kind of stuff. But I really see the value in the vegan junk food that's out right now, because honestly, I just don't think that people are going to stop eating junk food. And so when you have something that is animal free and it makes you kind of feel fuzzy inside, I don't really see a problem with it.
That's cool. And also being a mom of
yes,
I don't know, the younger one, boy or girl?
Boy. I have an 8-year-old son.
Okay, so 2 girls and a boy. Just so I know. So what relates to that? Yeah, having 3 kids, I can't imagine not having I don't know if I want to call it junk food, but treats, sweet treats, or
Right.
snacks for kids growing up in a household. My dad grew up in a house where he was not allowed anything sweet, and he got out of the house and went the other direction and couldn't stop eating sweets.
Oh wow. Yeah,
You
well, I
know,
mean, I'm a sweet addict too. I mean, let's be honest here. I have to try to not eat sweets, but who doesn't love sweets?
what's your favorite?
Well, and especially at the beginning when you're talking about Cinnaholic, I have heard of that, and I really want to go and get a cinnamon bun now. So I love cinnamon buns, but I'm a chocolate person. I love chocolate. How
Big
about you?
fan. Yeah, chocolate peanut butter. I'm
Chocolate
a
peanut.
really big fan, but I can also go in the direction of vanilla cake with coconut and vanilla
Oh,
frosting. I can go that direction
yes.
too. But if yeah, there's not, I don't like going in the direction of citrus.
Really?
Yeah,
So you don't like
citrus.
lemon cake?
No, not
Really?
my favorite. I mean,
Wow.
I have friends that are bakers here that have their own businesses who make amazing lemon cakes, which I've eaten, lemon lime along that to surprise me. But I tend not. It's that's not going to be what satisfies the itch, and it's certainly not what I'm going to make in my house. Like I actually
Yeah.
made banana muffins today.
Oh, really? Oh,
the
I love banana muffins.
the bananas were
Yeah.
on the verge of compost.
Well, right. So that's what you have to do. You have to make banana muffins. You got to make banana bread. No, I hear you though. I mean, I'm totally just like a chocolate person, or yeah, like the cupcakes and the icing, that kind of stuff. But you put a bowl of candy, like the hard candy, in front of me, and I don't really care much for that. But to answer, yeah, Steven's question, I mean, I feel like it's okay to have junk food sometimes. I feel like you do have to live a little. I mean, clearly we're trying to make the best decisions that we can each day. And I think just a cookie now and then isn't going to hurt you. A piece of cake now and then isn't going to hurt you. If anything, it's mentally going to make you feel better because you can have it.
It's I think
Right?
it's moderation. I think that's the most
Yes.
important thing
Everything in
is when
moderation.
you have things in moderation that you satisfy that itch and then you don't want it, you don't have to have it all the time, but when you deprive yourself of something is when you want it all the time. And that's not good.
Right.
And that actually leads to weight gain and eating unhealthy. It's like delaying food, like you're really busy, you don't eat lunch or you delay dinner, and then when you go
Hmm.
downstairs you eat everything in sight and then eat dinner because you just are so hungry because you waited to eat.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you have healthy snacks like trail mix. I let's
Yeah.
see, what do I have here? I have these delicious mandarins. They're
Oh
so
yeah, I
good.
keep a lot of those in the fridge. Absolutely, for
Yep.
my son. Because he wants all the junk food, but so I have to prepare. Have healthy snacks, easy things that I don't have to cut up. So mandarin and oranges for sure.
Yes, you know what I don't think you really shared much about you yet, right? Did we just jump right in? Did we skip over
Oh, we
it?
just. I mean, I shared. I shared. I think I shared.
Okay, cool. I was like, it
Yeah.
felt like it just kind of skipped right in thanks to Steven, which is great because Steven is on
Yeah.
a bunch of times with lots of great questions. So thank you for
Oh,
that,
that's good.
Steven. And of course, Brandy,
Yeah.
really glad that you're here. And 92 hearts, just so you know.
Oh,
92.
wow.
This is
The
the
pressure is
winner
on.
of love. You are the winner of love. So here we go. So we got another
Oh,
question from Steven. Let's
okay,
see.
good.
Can't you satisfy a desire for streets by eating dates or fresh peaches or other fruit instead of junk food?
Do you want to
Maybe.
answer that or okay?
You can. Dates are really sweet. That's true. Like they're sickeningly sweet to the point where I wouldn't eat a whole bunch of them, and that's the point.
Right.
It satisfies that. But a piece of chocolate,
Yeah.
nothing comes close. If whatever
Right.
your thing is, right? Not like fruit never does it. Like I love a peach that the juice runs down your arms, but I would still want a piece of chocolate.
Right. No, I mean, I think that stuff is good sometimes, and yeah, definitely during the week and everything when I'm trying to fight the urges and stuff. Like, I mean, I try to eat stuff like good fruits and like you said, dates. Um, but I mean, yeah, nothing replaces it. So rewarding yourself every once in a while with something, and that's why, I mean, if I make brownies, for example, at least like I'm using unbleached flour. I'm trying to use organic sugar. I'm not using full fat regular cow's milk. I'm trying to use things that are just a little bit healthier than your conventional. ingredients. So I always feel like that makes me, feel a little bit better about eating them. Maybe I'm just fooling myself, but I like to tell myself that.
Well, it's like when you make like a banana muffin, like there's chocolate chips and there's raw pecans in there.
Hmm.
And I think the pretty much it's almost all organic. I'm pretty
Oh
sure that
yeah.
almost every ingredient is organic, and the baking powder may not be, or might actually be. So, but it's bananas.
It's bananas. So it counts.
It totally
Totally
counts. I mean,
counts.
it's better than not
Well,
having bananas.
and it's a comfort food, which is something that I did want to talk about today, was comfort food. And so I feel like, especially in the past year, everyone has kind of jumped on board the comfort food because we're all stuck inside and feeling, upset and depressed and whatever. So, like most people, you reach for something, and comfort food is one of those things that I think we've all reached for. And so some people reach for treats, but I think even dinners, we reach for them. So, yeah, I think there's always a way that you can make it healthier, no matter what it is. You can
So
tweak it.
let's segue into that. So how do we do it? How do we make the comfort foods that we, typically we're going to go with high oil, fried, high sugar content, typically comfort foods, high fat, right? Tend to be the things that make people feel comforting when they're eating
Right.
them. So, how do you turn those from the way they typically are to something that would help someone feel comfort eating and not have that high fat, high calorie, high sugar, high oil type content?
Well, I think just first off, baking instead of deep frying, using something like the air fryer, that also helps. You can also, just substitute with different things. So in my book, which I actually have right here, my vegan comfort food book, I have all kinds of different recipes, and I have substitutions for every single recipe in here, from gluten-free to oil-free, nut-free, you name it. I've tried to put it in there because, yeah, I mean, what one person, like if you're coming just straight from like, your standard American comfort food, and then, you go to vegan, already you're like, that's healthier. But sometimes within the vegan community, you're like, but I need it to be this, 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 and this. And so that's where I think that there's always a way that you can tweak it, whether that's, you're not having meat, instead you're having, lentils or beans, or you're, baking instead of frying, or you're not using oil, you're doing like a water saute. There's all kinds of things that you can do just to make little tweaks to your comfort food. And then, that way you can still enjoy it. You can have your cake and eat it too.
That's how you know it's coming. I saw your reaction. It's a great question. So, Bert, thanks for the question. Pizza or tacos?
Pizza or tacos.
That's so hard. Doesn't it depend on the day of the week? Because like Tuesdays would totally be tacos, and like
Tuesdays would be
Friday feels
tacos.
like pizza.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, it depends on who's making the pizza and who's making the tacos. So, homemade pizza, my dad makes the best homemade pizza, and I think, Bert would agree with me there because he's my brother.
Oh, hi, brother.
So,
This is like an
yeah,
inside
but
thing. That's awesome.
that's an inside thing. But I do, I mean, I love both, but I love tacos. I will never give up tacos. I would just, there's nothing in the world, like I would never give up a taco. I have them all different ways. He says it's true. Yeah. So, both. How about a pizza and a taco? What
You could
about that?
totally do that. I mean, you can totally take the dough from the
He said,
pizza.
see, so he said, pull the pizza in half.
Yeah,
See,
Brandy's
see.
like that's where I was going, Brandy. I was like, you can like make the pizza dough, right? And
Oh,
roll it like really thin and shape it like and then shape it into the taco type mold and bake it like that and then oh my goodness, and then put whatever you want in there. We might have just
yeah,
invented something new.
absolutely.
That is the correct answer. This is awesome. I mean, combining the two, you're right. You can combine. I mean, I would rather do the taco in the pizza dough than to take the pizza part and put it into the taco,
Yeah,
like tortilla.
that's true.
I think that would go better. And 'cause, I mean, I'm a fan of like morphing things and changing things, and your recipes are guides and they're not rules, like type thing. I kind of want to touch on Barbara. That's awesome. Family's here. So I want to touch on that pizza dough recipe from your dad. That's what I want to know.
Well, actually, here, let me find it in here, because actually he helps me with one of these.
Brandy said anything folded in half is a taco.
That's true. Okay, so I have this recipe, the Saturday night Italian pizza rolls. This is totally a recipe that I even wrote in the head notes that my dad helped me with this because I couldn't take credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
But he has been making pizza, for basically my whole life, and he's perfected the recipe. And so he decided to help me with these pizza rolls that it's just a fun recipe that you can make and I put on Saturday night because it takes a little extra time to make a good pizza, but that's what it takes to make good pizza. You can't cut corners on good pizza. I think most people would agree with me there.
So I've been making pizza. I bought a bread machine, which I've spoken about on here. I bought I don't even think it's a month, but I bought a bread machine off Facebook Marketplace. So I got a used one and came home and made bread like that night. And every week we've consistently made stuff. So we've gotten into pizza. Uh-oh, are you frozen?
Hear me?
Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
you're just frozen.
I'm just frozen and I'm coming back.
You're coming back, right? It's okay because it's live. This is what happens, and that's okay. All right, you're slowly moving back into where you're live world. How fun. Isn't that the fun thing? At least I can hear you.
That's true.
Right, so that's important.
Can you hear me still?
I can hear you, and I can tell you that you're frozen is not some people freeze weird. You're not frozen weird. So that's a good thing.
So I see that Heb said, can you make the pizza gluten-free? And you can make the pizza gluten-free. You can totally use 1-to-1 gluten-free flour, and you absolutely can make gluten-free pizza. Now for the rolls, I don't know if they would roll exactly in the same, way as regular, pizza dough, but you can absolutely make a standard pizza with gluten-free flour.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, the flour thing is making the pizza, the bread machine really helps because it does all the work for you. And then you take it out and you can, make the pizza from it. So now, is that recipe, is that one of the recipes that happens to be on your website?
No.
Please say yes.
It's in the cookbook only. I was is my picture coming back though? Is it? It's
a little choppy.
Weird. I'm choppy.
You're choppy, but I think you're better now.
Okay.
Okay, now you're back
as long as my hair looks okay.
Everything looks great, actually. It's just, that's what I mean. Some people freeze and their mouth is open or something weird, but you were fine. Okay. Thankfully that moment, you can watch it back. You'll be we could hear you. The most important thing is, the worst part is if I could see you, but I couldn't hear you.
Right.
Or you couldn't hear me. That would be worse than your picture getting all funky. Oh, so Randy just said, those are great people. Bread machines are awesome for making pizza dough. They're also great for making bread. I had a mishap night before last. I made bread, and I was upstairs on the phone, and it smelled like the house was burning down. And I was let me go check this out. And I go in, and the dough had risen so much in the bread maker that it went over and was on the element and was smoking. And I was how do I fix this? Because the bread was, how did I know? We salvaged what Stephen got up and took it out of there for me. And I took it out. I didn't even take it out of the thing that cooks in the bread maker. I just put it in the oven. I saw there was about 40 minutes left. The top of it has a bit of a smoky flavor. But the rest of it is delicious.
To it, right?
Yes, it was delicious. We cut a slice off after it came out of the oven. It was still too hot to even touch. We just sliced that and cut in half and ate a piece each, and it was delicious.
And homemade bread, you can't beat homemade bread. Like, you really
Nope.
can't.
Yeah, and I mean, we didn't get quite the smell that you get from fresh bread because we got the smoky, like, house burning down and bread smell.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. It's not the first time I made the recipe. I don't know what happened.
Well, bread makers are kind of weird. So, like, I mean, I had a couple too, and then they both broke. And one of them I know broke because it was going so, I mean, I put the same amount of ingredients that I always put in it. I just, like, I remember I was making bread that day, and it just, like, started to slowly, like, move off the counter, and it just slammed on the floor. And then the lid broke off. And then it just, from that point on, there was a broken lid. And so I think I just got tired of the bread machines after a while. They are awesome, but I guess the ones that I had weren't so great. So when I make homemade bread, I just use my stand mixer, and it's a little extra, but at least it's not gonna, fall off my counter. So.
That's a great story. I was like, now when I make the bread, I'm gonna be like, Steven, this has to be like a foot from the count, like from the floor, because Randy said it could shake and fall off.
It has. I had to start pushing it all the way to the back of the countertop because I was afraid it was gonna do it again.
So that's great advice for those bread makers are thinking about getting one. I would not have known. It's not something in my research that came up. So.
Yeah, that's true. It's not something you think about when you purchase a bread maker.
No. I mean, buying it used, I mean, it's a better value because, I didn't spend that much, and we are getting the value of it because we are making it. And just like I said, yes. For the pizza dough and for the mixing, like I want to go make. Like, I want to find this recipe and I want to go make it and like just throw the stuff in there. And granted, making the dough is still like an hour and a half, and then you have to do something.
It's totally worth it.
Yes.
It's totally worth it. And it's much cheaper too than if you were to go out and get pizza. So it's kind of amazing sometimes when you go to a pizza place and you are, especially when you are doing like vegan options. Sometimes those are more expensive depending on what you're getting. And so, yeah, I mean, it can be pretty pricey to go out and get like a large pizza. And especially like I have a family of 5, we have to get at least 2 large pizzas. So making it at home is much cheaper. It does take a little longer, but it's worth it because, we have enough food and we didn't break the bank doing it.
And everyone can get what they want because you can actually give everyone their dough and say, put what you want on it.
That's true. Although I make the kids have more than just cheese, so.
I was hoping that they would want to have more than just cheese.
I'm like, we'll make one cheese, but then you have to eat some of the ones with veggies on it. They love veggies, but I mean, every kid, I think, just likes a plain. I mean, who doesn't like a plain cheese pizza sometimes, right?
That's true. And Brandy, I totally want pizza now too. I'm looking at the time, going, okay, well, I'll be done with this, and then it'll take like an hour and a half, and then, like how long before? I mean, I've made bread where like that first night when we brought it home, the bread wasn't done until like midnight. So it was like, oh, the bread's in. That night I actually made a gluten-free bread because I didn't have.
Oh wow.
I'm gluten intolerant, but I talked with Kathy Hester about this sunrise mill flour that's out of I think Minnesota, and it's organic, and they mill the flour. And they have organic farmers, so there's no pesticides, no herbicides. They do wheat like wheat was done. Okay. Not the way wheat is done now with over processing and like all the shit in it. So to be blunt, so that people who are gluten intolerant, not celiac, but gluten intolerant, should be able to eat it. Yeah. So I've been experimenting, that's awesome. And that's what those pizza doughs are made out of, is that flour. The banana muffins are made with their flour, and so far so good. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not that's suffering. Awesome. I can't do too much of it because that's also not good, but. It's just nice. I mean, having fresh bread that's not gluten free, but I'm able to do gluten free, and it was really good too. So, but it's I advise anyone who's gluten intolerant to kind of look into those flours that are out there. I get nothing for that. I'm just excited to have it. I just ordered more today, and I got rye flour, this one, like pumpernickel rye flour, so I'm totally going like awesome. That direction. Yeah. So I love to cook too. So I mean, that's like helps. I love having people on that cook or have cookbooks because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. But I mean, I cook every single day.
So what's your favorite comfort food?
So Heather wants, just so we know, Heather wants pizza for dinner tonight. I think you
Oh,
all should like have pizza for dinner tonight. But I would start now if you're making your own dough. My favorite comfort food,
yes.
it's really hard because I would think that it would be different depending on my mood.
Well,
I,
that's true. Well, what
so
was one of your favorite, like, how about this? What was one of your favorite comfort foods when you were a child? What was something that you always wanted?
that's, gosh, I mean, I went vegetarian when I was 19. I gave up
Oh,
red meat
wow.
when I was 15. But before that, I mean, I would eat like burgers and fries. I mean, I grew up in a very meat heavy family. My dad was a manager of a catering hall, so we were working there and eating like capon and chateaubriand and like and prime rib like every weekend,
Oh,
all the
wow.
time, and that was being brought into the house. So me waking up at 15 and saying I'm not eating that anymore, like red meat anymore, like it wasn't going to last in their eyes, and I'm 51. So it lasted.
Right.
It wasn't healthy for me. I intuitively knew, I don't know even I've spoken about this before on here. Something inside of me when I was 15 intuitively knew that I had something wrong and that food was causing me harm. And I learned as I aged and I got into my mid 20s and I got really sick. I was like, to be blunt, and this is gross, it's meant to be gross, I was pooping blood
Ooh.
because I have ulcerative colitis. And I finally
Oh,
got
wow.
diagnosed at my like almost 30 years old. I got diagnosed. But when I was a kid, I would get really sick, like really sick. And I like go in and out of the bathroom overnight and it's painful. Ulcerative colitis affects you in the sense that you have the diarrhea and you may have a really bad headache, but you're just sick and it doesn't stop. And if you don't have medicine, and as a kid, I didn't have any medicine, so I'd literally go to the bathroom, get really cold because you are dehydrated, you start to get feverish, and then get up when you think you're done, go back, lay in bed, and literally get back up again and go back to the bathroom. Oh, so Brandy, your son has Crohn's. Yeah, so that's
Oh,
like the next level of this. And I would just get to the point where I'd curl up on the floor in the bathroom because it was just
oh,
easier than going back to bed and then coming back in. So
yeah.
I didn't get diagnosed until I was an adult, and that's you know it's the ulcerative colitis is, I can't remember my tangent there, but it's it's not fun. But I cured it.
It doesn't sound fun at all.
No, but
But you cured it. That's
I cured
awesome
it
through
with being
just
vegan.
plant-based.
Yeah, I'm in
Okay,
complete remission with
that's
eating a
awesome.
vegan diet, and that's it's food related and it's stress related. And
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean, it's awesome that what food can do, and I think more people are realizing that in the past few years. That yeah, changing your eating habits and changing, your diet, it really does heal you, and it really can help you, live a longer life, be happier, feel better. I mean, there's all kinds of benefits to it. Um, but then, I like to, talk about, especially recently, talking about comfort food because, people think they have to give that up. They think, well, like I have to, if I'm going to do vegan, like that means I have to give up all of the things that I liked. And it's like your tastes do change. Like I'm sure you would agree, like how, your taste previous to going vegan and then post vegan, like it's like almost like turning on a light switch in the sense that like you get introduced to all these new flavors and your tastes, you start to like things that maybe you didn't like before, but those old feelings of comfort food don't necessarily go away. If you grew up on like chicken soup, you're not just going to be like, well, I hate chicken soup. You're always going to love the feeling. Like when you think about growing up eating chicken soup, you're always going to love that. So finding a replacement for it, I think, is important.
no, I agree. I made it much harder to even answer that question because I don't go back. I don't know if I go back to childhood stuff as comfort. I don't know why it's such a hard question for me to even answer in
Well, I mean, and
regards
it's
to
funny
it.
because you said burger, and so like I totally didn't tell you this, but like I have a show and tell, and it's a
You
burger.
have a show and tell of a burger. That's
I have a show
awesome.
and tell of a burger, and this also is from my cookbook. But this is okay. So this is an Australian beet burger with the lot. Okay, that's what they call it there. And the Australians have been using beets like, in and on their burgers since like the 1940s. So this is like a beet and bean based patty, and then I put dairy free cheese on top. It's got vegan bacon. It's got onions on it. It's got a pineapple. It has tomatoes, and then I have some avocado on the side, and it looks super pretty. And it's very, very delicious. And so I wanted to show this to you guys today because, I mean, it's like you would think that vegans couldn't enjoy something like this. Bert says that burger is delicious.
Yes, he knows.
He was here for the making of these burgers, so yeah, he knows for sure. But yeah, so like people would think that you couldn't enjoy something like this. Like when you think of a vegan burger, you think of like a sad. I don't know what people think of. This is what when I think of a vegan burger, I think of this, that you can have all kinds of toppings. I mean, it's really delicious. There's like a new flavor in each bite, and it's not hard to make. So like the patty is just like I said, it's a beet and bean based patty, and of course, I have some extra spices and stuff that I put in there. But essentially, all you're doing is you're taking beets and beans and you're blending them, making them chunky in a food processor, and then adding that to a bowl with like some spices and then like some rice and different things that I put in there, and then baking it instead of frying, so you can have your burger. And then of course, if you don't want to have dairy-free cheese or you don't want to have bacon, you don't have to, but I highly recommend having the onions, the pineapple, the avocado, hot peppers, tomatoes, lettuce. Yeah, I forgot to say that there was lettuce on the bottom. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 toppings.
Yeah, I mean, so that's funny. I guess subconsciously I went to burger. We'll get to like some of the comments in a second. But I remember the first time being able to eat a vegan like burger or like in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And it's like you're eating, and I mean, calling it like normal people food is a joke. It's like an inside joke in this house, right? But when you're sitting, you're eating that, nobody knows what you're eating. Whereas, before it became more mainstream, when you were in a restaurant, you were eating, people knew that you were not eating like what everyone else was eating. So to be able to like just take a bite of something, right, and have nobody know, not that except for the fact that it's tattooed on my body and I'm probably wearing a vegan shirt. So, but other than that,
you're like, other than the giant sign that I'm holding that says
right,
vegan, no one will know at the table.
Exactly. But to have that, to go out to eat and have familiarity, I feel is incredibly, incredibly important. And
it is important. And I think that's like a really good point. I'm glad that you brought that up because there is like a huge rage against like the Beyond Meat and the Impossible Burger. And it seems like you love it or you hate it. And there's even people within the vegan community that hate it. And I understand that point of view, but as far as it's not necessarily like the healthiest thing. If you're going vegan for health, of course, you don't go and eat a Beyond Meat burger every day.
It's just as bad as eating an animal protein burger every day. You don't want to do that.
Right. But the point of them making the burger was so that it matched up to that. So like, I know like when Beyond Meat first came out, there was a lot of nutritionists online being like, it's just as bad as a regular burger. And it's like, but that's not the point is that it's free from animals. Like that's the point, is that you can still enjoy that burger and that taste because that doesn't go away. You can't just turn that off. And and then also it opens it up for people to try vegan food. Somebody that would never, ever want to try vegan food. Now, all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, I want to know what that tastes like because everybody says it tastes just like meat. And I feel like that opens the door so then you can show them other things because, if we're holding up, just especially you go back, 10, 20 years, like, I mean, I've only been vegan for, almost 10 years. And even then, like the veggie burgers that they had at the store were not good.
That's true.
They were not good. So it's like if you hold that up with like a real burger, a lot of people are like, I'm not gonna go for the vegan hockey puck or whatever. But right.
The black
But
bean
now,
burger.
yeah.
Right.
But now you have all these options, and I feel like that's good because now people they have the choice, even at some of these fast food restaurants, they have the choice to try it. And I feel like that's a win, especially if you're going vegan because of the animals, it's a win.
Oh, definitely. And that's the whole point is those burgers weren't created for vegans. Those burgers were created to save the planet.
Right.
Because every chance that a person who's an omnivore chooses an Impossible Burger or a Beyond Burger or just any plant-based substitute for eating an animal-based product, they save the planet. There go my dogs. They save the planet and they save the animals. And you do save your health. The only thing is I didn't put out what needs to be put out because I didn't look at the text message that came through. So you save your health, yes, but it's processed food and you don't want to eat processed food often. That is not healthy for you, no matter whether you're a vegan, whole food, plant-based, which you're probably not eating processed food, but you could. And, as a vegetarian or an omnivore, processed food is not your friend for your health, right? So you don't want to do that. So
Absolutely, but sometimes it happens though, especially like I have 3 kids, and I can go back to 10 years ago. And actually, okay, so I guess to back up, in 2007, that was when I started to make really big health changes, and I started making everything organic, and everything was from scratch. And I almost went too far to the point where I was like, I can't eat anything that is outside of this house that I've made. And I feel like at that point, you put yourself, I mean, yeah, it's better for your health, but then you're kind of like doing damage in other areas of your life. And so I think it's good to sometimes live a little. It's okay if you have a bag of potato chips. It's not the end of the world, as long as most of the time you're making good choices and you're fueling your body with a variety of vegan foods. I feel like that's really what you want to aim for. I think either way, in either direction, you go too far and it can get kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, agree with you. So Heather asked a little while ago, what's your favorite comfort food?
What's my favorite comfort? Okay, my favorite comfort food, like you were saying, it probably changes depending on the weather and the time of year. But honestly, my favorite comfort food probably is something involved with biscuits. Um, because I mean, come on, a buttery biscuit is amazing. And
Yeah.
then I grew up on like chicken soup. I love soup. So like making comfort food at my home, like I love making soup. I'll make soup any time of year. I don't care if
Hmm.
it's, 100 degrees outside, I will cook soup. And so that's one of the things I love doing vegan too, because you can take that comfort food and you can make it healthy. You can just have like a really good veggie stew, and you can feel like, hot and warm inside. And if it's 100 degrees outside, you just crank up the AC inside, right? But
The odd
yeah.
thing about soup is that actually putting something warm in your body actually cools you off. So it's a
Oh, that's true.
misconception that
Okay.
eating something hot during the summer is bad for you. It actually isn't bad for you. So
Okay.
eat your soup any time of year.
Okay, good. See, I got my excuse. I can eat my soup whenever I want. But yeah, I definitely would say my favorite comfort food has to do with biscuits, or, I mean, bread, carbs. Come on.
Oh,
That's
we a lot of this conversation was
carbs.
about bread carbs. So now it's like we skipped over, and Brandy, you're probably like, oh, biscuits, because I'm back. I'm off pizza and now I'm on biscuits. Easier to make, doesn't have to rise.
That's right.
I
Drop
can,
biscuits.
yep,
That's
very
right.
very simple. I can do that. The only thing is a lot of fat in them, but that's why it's a biscuit. But
Well, I
making some
mean,
gravy.
you come on now. Yeah, biscuits and gravy. You hit that. That was correct. Yeah. Um, well, even in my new, like, I have a cooking class that I just released last week, and I show you how to make. That's one of the recipes that I show you how to make is, traditional like Southern style biscuits, and I like to use dairy-free butter. But you don't have to use dairy-free butter. You can use, coconut oil. I mean, and it totally works. And I know some people that want to do oil-free, that definitely isn't something like an easy swap, but there's all kinds of things that you can do to swap out oil, especially when it comes to bread. I mean, like applesauce is one of them that comes to mind. Bananas is one that comes to mind, although you probably don't want your biscuits to taste like bananas.
Well, it depends. Depends on how you're eating your biscuits.
Yeah, I mean, it works. Especially for breakfast, banana biscuits. But I don't know about banana biscuits and gravy. That kind of sounds a little...
It does, but if you think about pancakes and the fact that you put bananas in pancakes, and then you have plant-based sausage or plant-based bacon that you eat with that, you do go that savory. You do go that savory route. Granted, a gravy is maybe a little heavier. I see. This is where it's like really cool to talk, because we can invent something else. We can take the gravy, and can't you just take the gravy and go a little bit in the sweeter direction with it?
Sweet gravy. I guess the only way I can see sweet gravy is if I like made savory gravy and then I had maple syrup on the table and then I poured it on top. That's the only way it computes for me. I don't know about making it sweet from the get-go, but I could totally see myself pouring maple syrup on it if I was having pancakes.
So, Susan, you're going to have to share that oil-free biscuit. Banana biscuits and gravy, I'd try it. Okay, so there we go. So, here, just the start of your next cookbook.
Yeah,
and
that's what it's going to be called, banana biscuits and gravy. 101.
And so, we'll go back to Stephen had a question about rice, it looks like. So, and let's see, like, it's rice I've ever seen. It's multicolored and a lot of it appears very dark. I don't know about this type of rice. Can you comment on this type of rice? Do you know anything about this type of rice?
I mean, I know there's different types of rice as far as like, I love buying, I mean, there's the long grain rice and the short grain rice. And then I like to buy jasmine rice or basmati rice, depending on what dish I'm making. I know there's black rice, which is really good, and it's really good for you. It takes forever to cook. I'm wondering, that's why I don't have it too often, because I never seem to manage to get the timing right on that one. But I'm wondering if it's like, how dark is it? Because his comment went away, but it's like a mixture of different colors.
It's multicolored and a lot of it appears very dark. I don't know anything about this type of rice.
I wonder if it's like a mixture of like, if it's like wild rice, which I would just say put it in an Instant Pot and see what happens.
Right, just make sure there's enough water in there. So that's cool. And then Stephen also said, can't you use nut butter to replace oil? Which is interesting because it is oil.
That's true, but if you were, I mean, okay, so that is a good point, because if you were to take just nut butter that you buy from the store and then just put it right in, you might as well just do the oil, because the nut butters have oil in it. But if you were to take the nuts and then blend them right there and then use them, I mean, I'm assuming that would work. What do you think?
I would never have thought to, because I mean, I buy the natural peanut butter, so. Oh, look at this. So I buy the natural, so it would be, but I mean, it is a fat. It's a healthier fat. And would I put that into a biscuit recipe?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure. You know what this is? This is for Kathy. It's like,
that's true.
Kathy Esther, you need to do this if you haven't yet.
She would know. Sure.
She would definitely know. She probably tried it. So it's interesting. Stephen says he ground up the dark rice in Vitamix and dropped into the hot water to cook it fairly quickly. So like it's a flour then. Idea. It's a rice flour when you grind it up, because you can make rice flour. That's what rice flour is. It's grinding up rice. So I mean, that's cool. And then Susan also said that she makes biscuits with buckwheat flour.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, that'll make them gluten-free.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I usually, when I make gluten-free biscuits, I normally just reach for the 1-to-1, because I know that's the easiest way. I mean, that's honestly, that's one thing. I think sometimes, especially being like a food blogger, people think you want to roll out all the stops and do like the longest way possible to the recipe. I'm always looking for the shortcut to the recipe. I'm always looking for the shortest way. So when I do gluten-free, I like doing the 1-to-1 flour,
Mhm.
because I know that there's all kinds of recipes out there where they'll like give you their own gluten-free blend, and like,
Yeah.
there's almond flour and coconut flour
Tapioca,
and
potato starch.
yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't, first off, buying each of those individually is very expensive. And then if I'm going to buy each of those individually and then mix them, and if I mix them wrong, I just wasted like $30.
That's exactly it. It's your Bob's 1-to-1 or measure to measure.
Yeah.
I haven't used the measure to measure yet, but I've used the Bob's 1-to-1, and it's what's in my pantry when I go for gluten free. And it's simple because the reason why it's called 1-to-1, if you don't realize, is so that it can go 1-to-1 to glutinous flour. You can just
Yeah.
exchange it in a recipe as a 1-to-1 substitution. So it makes things easier. Granted, when you make a gluten-free biscuit with it, the rise is not there. It's more like a
Right.
puck than it
It's
is a biscuit.
it's a tasty puck.
It's a tasty puck, yes, because the fat's still in there and it's a biscuit. It could have some
Well,
under the layers, but
and I'm
not.
and I'm I'm joking about it, but I think if you add, like, if you have enough baking powder, though, you can get it to be fluffy. If you
Yeah.
skimp out on the baking powder, then of course it'll be more, and you bake it too long, it'll be a puck. But I think you add the right amount of baking powder. I've gotten fluffy gluten-free biscuits.
Yes.
So
I know.
I
It's
want to
just
put that out there.
yeah. It's delicious food. I mean, I typically make pretty delicious food, and I'd like to share that with people, especially if they're hesitant, or there are other people that when I go to like a mixed like cooking thing would what are they called? It's like my brain is so done by this week. When you go to everyone brings food.
Oh, a potluck.
Potluck. Thank you. I'm like completely lost. So I go to a potluck and it's not all vegan, and someone will like eat my food or not touch it because it's vegan, because that's pretty common for people that aren't vegan to be like, oh, well, I'm not gonna eat that, or they eat all of it and that's the only thing you can eat because you're the only vegan at this potluck. You're like, I'm
Right.
going first. That's what I'll be like. I was like, look, I can only eat like 2 things on this table. I'm going through the buffet line first, and then you can all
Right.
eat. So because if I go last, my food's probably going to be gone because
Right.
it's good, and I'd be like, it's I could eat. So, like, those with allergies should always go first in the buffet line, just so you know.
Yes.
And food restrictions, they should always be first, and then everyone else who can eat everything should go next.
I
So,
agree
great
with that.
question from Susan. Do you use aquafaba?
I do not use aquafaba, and the reason being is just that my husband doesn't really do well with the chickpeas. So aquafaba typically is from chickpeas, and that's actually kind of one of his. He has a couple allergies, like he can't do peanut butter, and that's just one of those things that like he doesn't do. So I don't do aquafaba because that would be really mean if I made something and then I was like, sorry, honey, you can't have it. So I've heard aquafaba works. I've tried to use aquafaba, like I've tried to use like wipey and aquafaba, because I guess it's just I guess for people that don't know, because I'm talking about aquafaba, for people that don't know what it is, it's just the liquid in the can of chickpeas. If you were to drain out the liquid, you could use that liquid for different things in cooking and baking. And I've seen it, like the only time I tried to use it was when I tried to make, like, have you seen those posts like about like whipped topping, vegan whipped topping, where you take, yeah, and it was like, I want to say it had aquafaba in it. It was like you take like coconut milk and aquafaba and like mix it. Is that just, have you seen that, or am I making that up in my own head?
I don't think you're making it up in your own head. I think it's you take the aquafaba and the like cream of tartar, I think has to be in there, or make the whipped
Okay.
cream like type thing,
That
and you have
makes more
to do your
sense.
mixer, and you have to mix it for, I haven't done it yet, but you have to mix for a really long time, and you can get those stiff peaks like you would if you're making a meringue, or
Okay,
you can go into
so
the macaroon type
the
area,
macaroon
like
stuff.
area. Yeah, so, and I was going to say that you could use other beans aquafaba. It doesn't have to be chickpea. So you could experiment if you want to go that direction.
Well, I did try to use like like white beans. Like I tried to use the liquid out of that can, and I tried to do the whipped topping thing did not work for me. And I don't know, you said that it has to go a long time. Maybe I didn't let it go long enough, but like, I mean, I let it go in my stand mixer and it was like over 10 minutes. And I'm like, this is, nothing is happening. Okay. I don't know what these, cause yeah, you said, you get like the stiff peaks and everything. I see all those beautiful pictures and I'm like, this isn't happening to me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So
There's
recipe
whole
fail
groups on
happens
it.
to everyone.
There's whole like vegan Facebook groups about this, and that is probably one of the
Really?
most common posts. Is there's so many people that fail and fail and fail at doing that, and then it's just
Wow.
trial and error of having figuring out how to do it. So I
Yeah.
haven't bothered. I'm never, if one, I'm making my own chickpeas typically now instead of my canned ones. But even if I do that, it's not the moment in time where I want to do something with the aquafaba. So I sometimes I'll put it in the fridge and then I just never get to it. So I just haven't bothered. And I'm particular with chickpeas. I love chickpeas. I do not like chickpea flour. I don't like
Yeah.
that taste that comes with it. So I don't
Really?
think that, yeah, garbanzo bean flour is disgusting to me. To be blunt, I
Those are
can.
strong words.
It's. I don't think anybody who cooks or bakes gluten free professionally should be using garbanzo flour in their product.
Well, it's only so I agree with you that it is a very strong taste. The only place that I will use garbanzo bean flour is if you're doing like a vegan omelet. It
Like,
works in that case, it works. But I understand if you were to try to, like, you can't, like, that's just a strong taste that I can see overpowering other tastes if you're doing something gluten free.
it does, and even in that, I just do not like. I don't like it. I can taste it. Other people, my palate can taste it. Other people maybe can't. I can, and even in the omelet realm, I have some downstairs that was sent to us by Blissfully Vegan and from New Jersey, Organic Vegan from New Jersey, and
Okay.
I'll try it. But when it's hot, when it's used in a hot capacity, savory or sweet, and the food is heated, it has less of that tinny chickpea flour flavor and
Mm.
taste to it. But when it cools, it's like really gross. And like, so to mask that is incredibly difficult. You have to be, I feel like, an expert baker. And even
Hmm.
then, I haven't found the consistency with ones that have done it and then gone back and bought more and felt it was terrible. So I just say
Yeah.
chickpea flour is not for vegan baking, like sweets, right? In an
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Indian restaurant, when they fry the pakoras, it's garbanzo bean flour. I can't taste it at all, but they're frying
Hmm.
flour. So let me see. Let's go back. So your brother Bert has said, "What's your favorite recipe from your cookbook?"
Thanks, Bert.
I know, it's awesome.
Let's see. What is my favorite? I'm like, what? Let me look real quick. I would say actually probably one of my favorites is my Peruvian chicken and green onion salsa, and that was actually one that I made for my cooking class because I love it so much. Because that's actually one of the first recipes that I ever learned how to cook just in general. Like I originally learned how to cook it like non-vegan years and years ago, and once I went vegan, I was like, I need to update this recipe. So it's really let me find a picture of it so that you guys understand what I'm talking about. But basically, I went to one of my friends. This was probably 2005 or 2006. I went to one of my friend's houses and she was making like she served green onion salsa, which is like green onions and limes and jalapeno peppers. And then she served that on top of just like plain like chicken and had rice and potatoes. And like I immediately just loved it so much. And I've made it again and again over the years. And so yeah, when I went vegan, I was like, I need to come up with a replacement for the chicken. And I've tried all kinds of things. In my cookbook, I use plant-based chicken, but over the years, I've tried everything from lentils to black beans. I mean, like it works. It's just one of those really flexible recipes that just works with anything. And I can't find the page. That's what happens when you're not paying attention.
It sounds incredible.
Let me see. 74. Okay. This is the picture. So you can get an idea of what it looks like. But it's plant-based chicken and rice with the green onion sauce on top. So that's definitely one of my favorites. It's hard to pick a favorite, honestly, because I've put so many different recipes in there, and I loved pulling that cookbook together because it kind of started. I decided I was going to do a comfort foods cookbook, and I started just like trying to make a list of what recipes I wanted to do, and I realized that the recipes that I was really drawn to that I had been making for years and years, like those were recipes that just come from different parts of the world. And so then it kind of took me on this journey of what does comfort food look like to other people in other parts of the world. And so then I started kind of just like seeking out what was considered comfort food. And it was really, really fun to do. And it was also really interesting because I would spend just like hours on the computer reading up about like the history of a lot of the food. And a lot of food that we eat, like even, in America, it's like we don't realize that a lot of the recipes are still new. Like nachos was made in like the 1950s.
Yeah, that is new.
And you think about nacho, like, can you imagine life without like nachos or tacos? And, and then you're like, oh my gosh, there was a time where there were not nachos. Like that's, and so, yeah, you start looking through like the history of these recipes, and it's just really fascinating that a lot of the recipes came from people just migrating from one area to another and bringing culture with them. And so you get like, you think of things, even like, spaghetti, or we can even use pizza because everybody, knows that that's like, Italian, but it's really American if you think about it, because the Italians make pizza completely differently, but it came over here and then it kind of took on its own, form over here over time. But I think that's what's so cool about the history of comfort food is that it's a mashup of a lot of different cultures, and you don't really look at it that way until you start digging into the history of it.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's like really cool.
Yeah.
So that plant-based chicken and that recipe, Heather wants to know what it was made out of.
Heather wants to know what it's made of. So it's Morningstar, so it is soy-based. But you can use, if you don't want to do soy. So there's a few options that I have on that recipe too. So like if you want to make it easy, you can use, just like store-bought plant-based chicken. If you want to still have like something that's, if you don't care about the soy, but you don't want like the any of the additives that might, be in those, the processed food, I have instructions to use soy curls, which I don't know if you are a fan of soy curls or not, but it totally works with soy curls. Or you can just use, like I said, lentils or black beans. It's a really versatile recipe.
Yeah, you can just put it over the rice. I mean, I've never heard of a green onion salsa. That in itself is intriguing.
It's really good.
It sounds delicious.
It's oniony and it's, and it's got citrus. And I know you said you don't like sweet citrus, but it's savory citrus.
Savory citrus is good.
Savory citrus. And then it's got the hot peppers. And so I don't know about you, but I'm like a huge spicy person. I love spice. Like I could have hot peppers on like every single dish and be fine. So it's really good.
That's awesome. And thanks, Bert, for keeping us kind of focused. So I really appreciate
That's
that.
Right.
So where should we go from here? I mean, it's been an hour. It flew by, which is fantastic, and this has been a really, really fun conversation for me. And I hope I clear for everybody else, because let's do an update on our hearts. I got you, Rich City, got you. Oh, and a little update on the rice from Steven. I'll get to put it up, but the Thai black rice is more of a whole grain glutinous rice, usually eaten in Thailand for dessert. So it sounds like the rice that he got is more like a dessert type rice as opposed to a savory type rice. So have fun with that.
Yeah.
You can do, I mean, sounds like something maybe you can make sushi out of as well. Yeah,
Oh,
because
that's
if
a
you
good
have more
idea.
gluten, it'll be stickier, and you can just use that for a sushi base. And you can do sweet sushi. Just sushi fruit can be fruit. It doesn't have to be vegetables. It doesn't have to be fish
That's
because
right.
the definition of sushi is anything laid over rice.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
whatever you
There you
want.
go.
Mango is delicious in sushi. Put mango over your sticky rice, and and enjoy it with some vegan whipped cream. And you're and everyone's whipped cream is probably like was always a really big thing for me when I was younger, like comfort wise. Like I love whipped cream. Like I'd go to the Cheesecake Factory and not get cheesecake. I'd just ask for a bowl of whipped cream.
A bowl of whipped cream.
Yeah,
Wow.
perfect.
And what, $7 later you got
I
it?
know they would like just give it to me because I was just like asking for like, could I just get a side of whipped cream? I don't want anything. I just want because they made it with the CO2, so it was like
Oh yeah.
amazing. So and they had that big machine where they just go press the button and they'd have oh gosh, so good.
I used to have one of those CO2 containers, and I used to do that. And I don't know what the heck happened to that thing. Now I'm gonna have to go see where it is.
We
But
just
it's
found
good.
ours.
It's you take like a can of coconut milk and you put it in there, and
You
you can get the whipped cream, and it's amazing.
exactly that like the really cold like when it's like really cold coconut milk, like the coconut cream is what you want to use. Put it in there and then
Yeah.
the little cartridge, you put it in the top and you turn it and yep. And some vanilla and maybe some cinnamon depending on like how you go. And like just and that's it's a maybe some, you know, or like vegan powdered sugar can go in there as well. And you're like all good. Yes, I have one. I got one a long time ago. So we just found I was cleaning the cabinets and I found it and I was like, ah, I knew I still had this. Now I have to get the CO2 things again so we can make whipped cream. Yes. So there you go. Yes, and Heather likes vegan sushi. Sounds amazing. Vegan sushi is amazing and actually really easy to do at home because if you think about it, like pizza, when you go to a restaurant, you buy like an avocado roll, and you spend like somewhere between $3 and $6 for that roll. You can make it.
Yeah,
You can make that
I
roll
know.
at home, or you go gourmet and you do like some really funky stuff in your sushi, like a whole bunch of ingredients, and that's like $15 for a roll. I sit at home and I'm like, oh, we just made that. It's like
Yeah,
simple.
I love doing vegan sushi at home. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the rolling part sometimes doesn't always go, it isn't always so graceful,
Right?
right?
It
But
still tastes
I
good.
manage. Yeah.
The cutting of them, the knife has to be clean. We don't bother. We're eating it. So, I mean, sometimes the rice is like not, it's like too liquidy. It still works, but it's just a
Now,
more liquidy thing.
do you get like the chopsticks out and everything and do
Hmm.
the whole shebang? Me too.
Yep.
It makes it more fun. It's
It
more
does.
special that
Just
way.
like in a restaurant, we have I have a little sushi set with the chopsticks and a little thing for like to put. I have a chopstick holder. And
Oh wow.
yes, like for like on the table, so they don't have to rest on the table because you're putting them
Oh
in your
wow.
mouth. Yeah,
You're all
yeah.
profesh.
Well, I think probably between your kitchen, my kitchen, and Kathy Hester's kitchen, we have every single thing possible.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I don't even have to see your kitchen. And I know Kathy's and I know mine. So, and if you look at the talk with Kathy on Thursday, we talked appliances. We talked about what we have. Like we have multiples of things in our homes, and I mean, I'm privileged enough to have them, but I also buy stuff refurbished. I don't spend full price on these things, and it's part of the reason
Yeah,
I can have them. And some
right.
of them are for like traveling for our events, so they cooking demos can be done with them. And I don't
Right.
want to use mine because if it breaks, I'm gonna be really sad. Because then I have to go buy something else. So like the nonprofit has their own appliances.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it's a big help. So, what did we not touch on? Your classes. So let's close
Um,
this up with you talking about how people can get the
okay.
book, how they can take your classes, and let's let everyone know because I don't see why they wouldn't because you're awesome.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so my cooking class, I have just one class available right now, and you can get that and the cookbook both at www.bohemianvegankitchen.com. And for my cooking class, so I decided to take 3 recipes that are from my cookbook and walk you through them. And the reason I chose 3 of them because the recipes that I chose, they have recipes within recipes. So one of them is the Peruvian chicken and green onion salsa that I talked about. And so in that one, I'm going to teach you how to use plant-based chicken. We're going to go over the salsa. I talk about cooking rice in the Instant Pot. There's a lot of things in that one recipe that I cover. And then the next one that I cook with you is the sweet. The next one I cook with you is is a lentil biscuit casserole, and so it's Jamaican inspired because I don't know if you ever have had Jamaican beef patties. Have you ever had those before?
A long time
Or heard
ago,
of
but
them?
yes. Yep.
Yeah, and they're amazing. Okay, so I used to get Jamaican beef patties before I went vegan, and I loved them so much. And when I went vegan, that was one of the things that I was like, I really wish that I could still have those. And so I've tried to make them over the years, and I've successfully made them. They just take a really long time. So one night I decided that I really wanted to taste Jamaican beef patties, but I did not want to roll out patties because if you've never heard of them, they're kind of like Hot Pockets or like a Pop-Tart, like a pastry of sorts.
There's a vegan
But
version now in the supermarket.
yeah, I
Yep.
have heard of that. I have not seen them at my grocery store yet, but I'm hoping that I can get them soon.
That's the
That would be
easiest way.
wonderful. Yeah.
That'd be the easiest way.
That'd be the easiest way. But this way is pretty easy though, and it's healthier because I'm going to go ahead and assume that the ones that they're selling now are fake meat. I'm going to assume. So this is a lentil based one. So the lentils are spiced with Jamaican spices, and then I cover that with biscuits, and it's really, really good. So in that recipe, I talk about how to make biscuits, and then talking about like how to cook lentils. And then the third recipe, I do nachos, and we do sweet potato nachos. And within that one, I'm teaching you how to do dairy-free cheese. I'm teaching you how to make your own tortilla chips. We talk, chopping techniques, cooking techniques. We talk about all the allergies and all of the substitutions that you can do with all of the recipes. And it was a lot of fun. It's about a 90-minute class. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to be able to actually show people, in my kitchen, how I cook these recipes. Because sometimes it's like you read a recipe and you want to make it, but especially if you haven't made any of these things before, sometimes it can feel overwhelming on doing it. So it helps to see somebody do it, a visual aid. So, yeah, if you want, right now, I am running a special, and it's running until tomorrow night at midnight. And if you buy my cookbook, Vegan Comfort Food, if you haven't gotten it yet, I sign every single copy and I send it out myself. So if you buy that, you get the cooking class at 50% off, and you don't have to enter a code or anything. You just add both of them to the cart, and it does the work for you. So yeah, that's going until tomorrow night at midnight.
There you go. So your nachos are the best ever, and it's really cool. And the special is until tomorrow at midnight. You buy the book and get the class at 50% off. That is really cool. All those recipes sound amazing. You have influenced these. Whenever we talk food during these lives, it always influences what I make for dinner. And you have had so many influences of what I want to make for dinner. And I don't even know what direction to go. Like biscuits, pizza dough. I have zucchini that I was thinking about making a raw dish. I don't know what to do.
You can do it all.
Just
do a biscuit pizza with zucchini on top, and then maybe find your little whipped cream thing and then top it off, right? That'll work.
That sounds gross. So
With bananas.
With bananas. There's one really overripe banana left.
Even better.
Yeah, and that it would be. I'm not going to do that, but
post it and tag me.
Oh, we're going to be friends. So Seriously, thank you
Oh,
so much.
yes.
This has been so much fun. And to think you were nervous.
Of course, yeah. Now you tell everyone.
Well,
Well, of course, it's always nerve-wracking. Come on, it's always nerve-wracking. I hope that people enjoyed it and all of that, and that you guys got something out of it.
enjoyed it. So sorry, I was going to go over like the stats for this live.
Okay.
27 thumbs up, 349 hearts,
Oh my God.
23
Wow.
laughing, and 9 faces.
Wow.
Winner.
Okay.
Winner by far. So all of you that have shown the love to Randy, thank you so much,
Yeah.
because
Thank you.
that is wild, like absolutely wild. Thank you both. Interesting, Stephen just said. So thank you, Stephen,
Aw.
for continuing to watch and tune in, especially on the weekends. It's probably easier. But I hope you have a absolutely amazing rest of your night and enjoy your
Thank
movie
you.
night. So we don't need to talk about movies, but enjoy your movie night and figure out what you're going to watch with 5 different people deciding. And
Yes.
there's Bert going, woo, woohoo. So I love when family's on. I love when the family's on because it happens a lot with
Yes.
people. So
Absolutely.
it's the support. I think everyone should have a Bert.
Everybody should have a bird.
Everybody should have a
That's
Bert.
it, right, Bert? Come
Yep.
on. See, that's what's funny because at our house, we're like, don't be a bird. It's like an ongoing joke. It's a total joke. And I know I'm saying this now, and he's like, oh, God. But it's a joke. I love my brother.
I just, it's so funny. I'm like, everyone should have one. You're like, don't be one. Oh, that's so funny. Seriously, that's what I've been saying.
He says that.
That's awesome.
Oh, sorry.
Don't be sorry whatsoever.
I love you. You know that. So.
It's a good rule.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a whole nother hour.
It is. It totally is. Oh, I see Heather. Heather has like such the sweetest things to say too. I love Heather as well.
Yeah,
So
no, seriously, we
she's
live
awesome.
birth too. So it's good. Lots of love, So again, thank you so much for joining me and being a part of this. And I, look forward to just getting to know you more. So I'm going to add you on Facebook,
Same.
and so that we can keep in touch and talk about these recipes or that more. So, oh, there you go. Bert loves Heather too. So have a great rest of your Saturday.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate everyone tuning in.
All right. Bye, Randy.
Bye.
So everyone, thank you for a very lively, loving, friendly, funny moments during Virtual Vegfest Live today. I really, really appreciate it. Once again, I have absolutely no clue what's coming up next week, because you would think after, let's see, yesterday was a 1-year anniversary of my first Virtual Vegfest Live. So this is yesterday in a day. So a year and a day of going live. And we've had over 110 plus, I guess, at this point over the course of the year. So I'm super excited to continue to do this. And thank you for helping us to grow and being a part of it. And of course, all the prize packs that are donated, and especially when we're going to get back to in-person events this year and kind of doing like hybrid stuff. One of the cool things that's going to start happening is we're going to do movie nights. We're going to do virtual movie nights. And those are going to be typically on a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Heather. So we're going to do a Tuesday night on the 27th of April. We're going to have a movie, and I should know the name of it off the top of my head, but I don't because I can't remember anything at this point. But there's a movie. If you go to Triangle Veg Fest, go to our events. It's a fundraiser for Sweet Peeps Micro Sanctuary in Alabama. So it's her movie, actually. It's Tracy's movie, and it's about 32 minutes, so it's not that long. And then we do a live Q&A and talk with Tracy. That's one of the perks of doing it this way, and it's a fundraiser, so you can help raise money for Sweet Peeps Micro Sanctuary. Then we're going to have a fundraiser with Gunda, and we're going to have a fundraiser with Stray Dogs, and I'm going to bring in other sanctuaries or nonprofits to support them as well when we do these movies. And excited about that. So next Thursday, we are live with Wendy Matthews, who works for Veganuary. So that's really cool. And she's amazing. She used to work for Farm Sanctuary. And then Diana Edelman is on Saturday at 4 p.m. What a great week. Like, so excited. She's in Las Vegas. And I'm a huge fan of Las Vegas. I'm a huge fan of eating in Las Vegas. And we're going to go all over that. So if you haven't been, you're going to want to go. It doesn't matter if you gamble. If you don't gamble, Vegas is a fantastic place to visit, and never walk into a casino and be incredibly busy the whole time that you're there. The hiking alone at Red Rock Canyon is amazing. So that's next week. And remember to wear your mask. If I can get not tangled, that'd be great. Wear your mask over your nose, under your chin. Cover your nose, because if you don't cover your nose, connect it to your lungs, it defeats the whole purpose of trying to help spread and get COVID. And we don't want that to happen. Supporters of vaccinations, right here, right now, the more of you that get vaccinated, the more people that we get into this world where we can all get together again and hug one another and have events and have things go back to like a new, somewhat normal. I like masks. I think masks should stick around. I like not having a flu season. Masks make it so that we don't have viruses floating around in the air. It's not a bad thing. Let's like normalize masks, normalize getting vaccinated, get everyone over this COVID thing so we can be healthy and less people can die and eat out and do things that we did like a year ago. Well, over a year ago now. Other than that, I will see you next week. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.